Slendy, Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. You should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, episode 603 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is June 2nd, 2024. Padres, they take another series that is 8 out of their last 10 for anyone who is counting. 2 out of 3 against the Kansas City Royals. Although it ended in a disappointing way, obviously you're going to take the series win, but when you have the opportunity to sweep, the game was yours in that ninth inning, and you can't do it. That's a big kick in the nuts, Like that's hard. So I'm sure that there's going to be Padres fans that come away from this series a little bit irritated because you had the sweep right there in the ninth inning. You were 3 outs away. Some of your guys, your big guys, Tatis, Manny, come through on offense and then can't get the sweep. That's disappointing. But if you keep winning series, I'm not going to be complaining too much about it. But I think today there's definitely that right, if you're a fan, to be irritated that they weren't able to sweep this series. Because if there's a series to sweep, you think it would have been this one, where game one, you have 11 hits in one inning. Game two, Toddy, Kim have good days, get a win there. And then game three, Michael King goes 7 innings and gives up 1 run. Manny and Toddy come through, and all you need is 3 outs. You're good, and you can get the sweep. But nope, couldn't get it. So there's plenty to talk about. We'll go through this entire series. If you want to join the show, you can click that link pinned up at the top of the chat. I will get to the comments as always. You can use that super chat button if you would like to support the show. Let's start with today first, and we'll make our way back. Padres lose 4-3. And like I said, Michael King had a really good outing. Gave up an earned run on that sac fly. Didn't strike out like 10 guys or anything. Struck out 4. But I don't really care how many guys he strikes out. I don't care how many guys he walks, to be honest. You don't want the free passes, but if you go 7 innings and you only give up 1 run, I'm taking that every time. So we got the good Michael King today. De Los Santos comes in, got a big strikeout there to not allow any runs in that 8th inning. And then, the Padres, they have that lead, and Yuki Matsui comes into the game. And that ended up, that lead that they had, that went away, and they lost just like that. Like, it was quick. It was, 4 batters? And why was Matsui pitching today? Well, because of Stephen Kolek. If we're going to be honest, right? Stephen Kolek is why the Padres did not sweep this series. Sure, Matsui, you could say he should be better, or the Padres should score more runs. But let's think about it. Game 1, Kolek's on the mound. You have a huge lead. It was like 11-3, I think, at one point. Big lead. And it gets down to, a 3-run game? And Suarez has to come in the game. I think the game-tying run was up at the plate, and that ball was almost gone. Went to the warning track. Like, that shouldn't have happened. And Suarez has to pitch there, has to pitch game 2. So he's not going to pitch a 3rd day in a row. Estrada, he wasn't going to go 3 days in a row. I put out that bullpen chart going into games to kind of, make people aware of what's going on and maybe who might go, what's kind of like that pitching path to victory. And today, I think we knew it was not going to include Estrada. It was not going to include Robert Suarez, and it didn't. I was wondering if it was going to include Wandy Peralta because he didn't throw very many pitches. I think he threw like 3 pitches yesterday. So maybe 18 pitches in the last 2 days. That's not a ton. So maybe they send him out there as the lefty, but they go with Yuki Matsui. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, man, I totally disagree with that. Like, no, I mean, you weren't going to go to your big guys. And you got to have other guys be able to produce in this bullpen. There's going to be days where guys aren't available and you need someone that doesn't go get saves all the time to go pitch a clean inning. Don't look at it like, oh my gosh, I can go get a save here. Just look at it as I'm coming in to get 3 outs. And obviously Yuki Matsui was not able to do that today. And we can go through that 9th inning here, how quick it was. Pasquantino, he has the single to right, and then there's the walk to Salvi. That's what kind of killed it, right? Because now, instead of maybe getting Salvi out, maybe it's a double play ball if you get a ground ball. Now it's first and second with nobody out. And then Nelson Velasquez comes in, pinch hits for Adam Frazier. Was that smart or what? Yeah. And he ends up tripling. Merrill, okay, maybe you say like he should have not been so close to the wall on that and he should have been able to play it off the wall a little bit better, but I'm not so sure that would have made much of a difference. If you saw Blanco, I think he was the pinch runner. Yeah, he was the pinch runner for Salvi. That dude was flying. He was like right coming in right after Pasquantino. So I don't know how much of a difference that would have made. So the Royals tie it there at 3. And then there's the sac fly, obviously, and you're not going to do really anything about that. Some might say, well, Tatis, he needs to get under that. Instead of barely getting under it, get behind it and come through it like people are taught, in high school, Maybe that's a criticism of Tatis there, but I don't think he was going to get him anyway. And, the bottom line, you just have to have a better ninth inning there from Matsui. You got to have better execution there. And so the Padres cannot get the sweep. It's frustrating. When are they going to get that sweep? I said this earlier on social media. Hopefully, the sweep thing is not last year's, oh, they can't win 4 in a row. And they obviously did late in the year, but it took them a long time. And if they would have won a couple 4 games in a row, a couple 4-game winning streaks, that adds up. And they missed the postseason, by a couple of games. And we can look back at this season. I think the Padres can be a playoff team. I think they will be. But let's say they miss the playoffs. We'll look back at these times where, oh man, could sweep the Marlins, could sweep the Royals, and you get blown out in one of them, and you're on the doorstep. You should have swept this team, and you can't get it done. You could say for a couple of reasons they should have swept the Royals. One, because Suarez should have been in the game, because Kolek should not have made Suarez get into the game in game 1. I'm not saying Suarez should have been in these circumstances, pitching 3 days in a row. I understand it. Other guys are going to have to contribute. But I'm just saying Suarez should have been in the game because of what happened game 1. That shouldn't be happening. And also, Matsui just should pitch better, even if Suarez and Estrada aren't available. So disappointing for sure. But if we want to take positives out of this game, Michael King's performance, definitely a positive. Tatis, him coming through, he is looking much better. Feels like relaxed, not expanding the strike zone. Manny comes through with a hit to give the Padres some insurance. It wasn't enough, obviously, but it was good to see those guys come through in those big spots there in the 8th inning, I think it was. So those are some positives I'm going to take. Crony played some really good defense. Now, we got to talk about Luis Ariz. Luis Ariz exited this game with a shoulder injury. Schilt, I think, mentioned the neck as well, but it seems like things are fine. Luis Ariz spoke to Kevin Acee post-game and said that he'll be playing tomorrow against the Angels, so that's good news. What it seemed like was, if anyone was watching it, he goes and dives. He got thrown out, by the way, so, it's one thing. Sure, he drove in that run, but it would be one thing if he didn't get thrown out, but he got thrown out going. But Azokar scored. He comes in, Witt gets the tag, and Ariz goes in, and then he tries to reach back. I don't know if he heard it there or he heard it in the initial dive into second. Why are they diving into second base? I'm not so sure. If there's a situation where you should dive headfirst into second base, it probably was that one, because you're trying to get away from the bag. Even though, you could slide in and not slide feet first into the bag, but slide to the right and have your left hand try to reach the bag. I'm not someone that really ever dove head first into a bag. I only did it when I was diving back. I just don't understand it. Manny Machado the other day, he did it as well. I think trying to steal a base, and it's like, what are we doing here? Why? That you don't get hurt really sliding into second base or sliding into a base. Where you get hurt is when you can jam something when you go diving into a base. Diving back, sometimes it happens, but not really, because you're not going full force, right? You know where the bag is, right? On a pickoff, all that. But these guys that are going diving head first like that, I just don't understand why they do that. So Arise gets hurt. Hopefully he'll be able to play tomorrow. It seems like things are going to be good. But yeah, that was scary. If Arise ends up missing time and then they can't get this sweep, obviously, that's really unfortunate. But yeah, I mean today that's really what it is. That's the update. That's what people were waiting for. And obviously Luis Arise, he's a huge piece to this team. He's not going to give you a bunch of power, but we know how much of a table setter he is at the top of the order. And I hope that guys are learning from Arise about approach, and you don't need to go for a home run every time. Just put the ball in play, see ball, hit ball. You don't have to hit the ball into the gap all of the time, but put the ball in play, make the defense do their jobs. And sometimes they're not going to do their jobs, and you're going to be able to benefit from that, which we saw in game one of this series. So hopefully Luis is okay. It seems like he's going to be okay. But yeah, today, frustrating. They lose by 1. Now they drop back to 32 and 32 games over 500, second in the National League West. But yesterday they won 7-3. This was a big game from Ha-Seong Kim. He triples in the third. That didn't score anyone, but that was one of his big hits on the day. Obviously, what was his biggest hit was when he cleared the bases and drove in 3 runs, which happened in the 4th inning. So Merrill singles. He gets on first. Manny's on second. Manny's on third. Solano's on second. That was after Merrill seemed like he was in pain. Then Ha-Seong Kim comes up with the double in the gap. All 3 runs score, makes it 5-3 Padres. And after that, you're in a really good spot, obviously. And the bullpen, I mean, shout out to the bullpen. They did their job. But, Toddy, first inning, has the homer, 10th home run on the year. And that's the swing we want to see from Fernando, right? Out over the plate, but you're not pulling it. Take it kind of opposite field with that power. Seems like the load, the pre-swing, it's fluid. It's more relaxed. So I'm loving what I'm seeing there from Fernando this last week or so. Pasquantino homered. That made it 2-1 Kansas City. Top 3. Arise with the sac fly tied it up. Pasquantino came through again in the bottom of the third, made it 3-2. But then in the 4th, Kim, obviously, like I talked about, with that bases clearing double, made it 5-3 Padres. And then Higgy getting the homer, made it 6-3 in the 9th. I mean, it's fastball 95 down the middle. Even Higgy is going to hit that ball out. Profar with the sac fly made it 7-3, and that was that. Big innings. So Vasquez does his job, kept the Padres in the game, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. Good job out of him, especially when it was a spot start. Now, feels like he's taking Joe Musgrove's spot, and we'll talk about the Darvish Musgrove injuries here in a little bit. Seems like he's taking that spot, and then maybe Adam Mazur will be starting on Tuesday against the Angels in place of Darvish, with Waldron going in game 1 tomorrow. But he did his job. So good job there. I mean, we can't have these sky-high expectations for Randy Vasquez. We want him to keep the Padres in the game, and he did that. Morahone comes in, inning and 2/3, no runs. Estrada goes an inning, no runs. Yep, gave up a few base runners, but he got a huge strikeout in, what was that 7th inning, I want to say. Huge strikeout there to end that inning. And then Wandy Peralta comes in. He gets the out on his one batter that he faced there. And then Suarez comes in. In that situation, I know it's not a save situation, but you already used Suarez in game 1 of the series. There's no guarantee what situation the Padres were going to be in game 3. There was no guarantee you were going to be in that spot with the lead, 9th inning. So you're going to use Suarez for an opportunity to guarantee a series win. And that's what should have happened last night. I was totally okay with Suarez being used even when it wasn't a save situation. And I loved his quote to Kevin Acee. I'm not quoting him exactly, but pretty much when Kevin asked him about his workload, he's like, no. I don't feel like I'm being overworked. My job is to go out there and pitch. So that would have been great to have that last year. I'm not going to say any more about last year. You guys know who I am referring to there. But That's nice to see there from Robert. Big team guy. Love that. But yeah, the bullpen did their job. And again, with Toddy with the homer, super encouraged by what I'm seeing from him. And we know he's there. He gives a lot of value to the Padres defensively. Um, yeah, it was a good win last. I was about to say last night, last afternoon. But I think if we're being honest, like the highlight win of the series was on Monday. Yeah, you don't want Suarez to have to go in that game because the Padres would have a sweep if right now if Suarez didn't have to go into that game. But what happened there in that 8th inning? 11 hits in 1 inning. That was so impressive. I wasn't watching this entire game live, so that's why I didn't do the post-game reaction right after that game. But going through that inning and watching all of the hits and where it was and how much guys were spraying the ball all over the field, it was super impressive to watch. In fact, I do want to pull it up right now. Not for the YouTube audience, sorry, because I'm not trying to get this demonetized, but just to go through because I want to give credit to each and every guy that got 11 hits in that inning because it was literally spraying the ball all around the field. There was swinging button there. There was ball up the middle, down the line, opposite field. Love it. So Arise starts it off classic, right? I mean, to have Luis Arise started off, he doesn't hit it hard. Little blooper, opposite way. Then Tatis comes up, grounder the opposite way, finds a hole. Profar comes up, bunt. Sorry, not a swinging bunt. It was a bunt. Beats it out. Bases loaded. Crony up the middle, hits it hard. And then Manny comes up, ball down outside the zone, but it was a 3-2 count, trying to protect. He does, bloops it kind of into left field, just all over the field, spraying the ball. Donnie barrels, ball 94 down the middle, goes the opposite way with it. Merrill comes up. He goes down the line a little bit with or between second and first with it. Kim, he takes it liner to left. Arise comes up. He goes 98 out of the strike zone, opposite field, takes it where it was pitched. Profar comes up. He takes it the other way as well. And then Crony comes up and fastball up on him, and he takes it the other way down the line. It was so freaking impressive what that was. I mean, Mike Schilt, I'm there's been some times this year where he probably was smiling ear to ear because of the baseball that was being played. Because we know he's not, of course, he loves the home runs, I'm sure, but he loves the little things about baseball. And I love that too. Like seeing his baseball team do that, where you just play great situational baseball, not trying to do too much. Like it didn't seem like anyone was trying to do too much in that inning. And obviously the Padres, they have a huge lead after that. What was that? That was the 8th inning there. I mean, amazing. Yeah, top of the 8th. It was 3-2, Kansas City. And then at the end of the inning, it was 11-3 Padres. Now, what happened after that? Steven Kolek, he obviously, we know he's the, mop-up guy right now on this team. Because Brito, I guess you could put in there, but they probably like using him multiple innings and in a situation where the Padres are winning. But Nelson Velasquez with the homer. Michael Garcia, single. Bobby Witt Jr., single. Now it's 11-6. Freddie Fermin, single. Now it's 11-8. And then Suarez has to come in the game. And the Tatis quote was funny. He almost passed out is what he was saying. And he said, thank God we're in Kansas. I think he meant Kansas City, not the state Kansas, because they're in Missouri, not Kansas. But that's besides the point. It was an entertaining ending, I'm sure, if you're not a Padres fan. Or maybe if you're a Padres fan looking back on it now, knowing the result. But if you were a neutral baseball fan watching that game, you're like, okay, it's over. And then if you stayed watching the game, you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to make a comeback, aren't they? And then you see the ball hit off of Robert Suarez. You're like, no way the Royals tied this game off of Robert Suarez. And it almost was. I think it was Azokar made the catch there right before the wall. And that was big because what if the Padres, I mean, talk about loss of the year. You have a gigantic lead, 11 hits in 1 inning, blow it open. There's no reason to be losing that baseball game. And if Suarez would have given up that home run there, and then the Royals go on to win that game, and then Suarez pitches yesterday, let's say, and then this happens today and they lose the series like that, that would have been heart, wrenching, gut wrenching. I mean, holy cow. So it's another one of those, like, I'm happy with kind of how things happened. I should say, considering the circumstances, I am happy that, hey, we took 2 out of 3 because it could have been a little bit worse, if you think about it. Dylan Cease in that game, 5 1/3, 3 earned runs, 5 punch outs. I thought he was going to get more the way that he started that game. It was a lot of punch outs to start. Michael Wacha, by the way, Arise broke that dude's foot, I think, hit that ball hard, and Wacha ended up pitching 5 innings in this game. And that happened, I think, in the first inning. So talk about tough, or I don't know if it was adrenaline or what, but Wacha's had a good 4 or 5 start stretch, 5 1/3 from him, 2 earned runs, only a couple of punch outs. But yeah, Wacha and Lugo, 2 guys the Padres said, nah, we're good. And they went elsewhere. Or did they both have club options? I forget. Maybe it was Lugo that had the player option. I know Wacha had the club, I believe. But anyway, both guys that the Padres probably could have brought back if they would have, paid up, but they didn't want to. And Seth Lugo was on track, right, to start the All-Star game for the American League, unless they want to go Mason Miller. They want to go the sexy route, more appealing name recognition route. But usually All-Star games, they give the starting pitcher a couple of innings, and then they have some other starters come in for an inning, and then they go to the relievers. So we'll see. But, Mason Miller, he is entertaining to watch. But maybe they give it to Lugo. He's isn't he the ERA leader? I'm glad the Padres didn't have to face him in this series. But, good for Wacha and Lugo coming to Kansas City and having some good seasons there. I have nothing against those guys. Definitely nothing against those guys. It seemed like they were team guys when they were with the Padres. Lugo wanted to be out there. He wanted to have the ball. Wacha, same thing. He's had some injury issues, so I wasn't super surprised that he missed some time last year. But yeah, so Padres, they take 2 out of 3. I did want to hit on the Darvish Musgrove thing, obviously. I did my video on Musgrove going on the IL. That was yesterday morning. And I did that before the Darvish news came down. And so both of them are now on the IL. Darvish, groin, hamstring, Musgrove. It's the recurring inflammation, and it's in the throwing arm. And so, yeah, that's definitely concerning when the Padres are counting on not just Musgrove, but Darvish as well, those guys to be frontline starters for this Padres team. If they want to go where they want to go, they're probably not going to be able to do it with just Cease and Michael King as those 2 guys. And then you got Walt. Are we going to, bank on Matt Waldron pitching like this the entire year, pitching like this in the postseason? And I'm not saying that Darvish is out for the year. He's not. I'm not saying Musgrove is. Now, his is more concerning because it's with the arm and it's recurring, where with Darvish, it feels like hamstring. He had a neck issue earlier in the year. It's not arm. And it seems like Darvish, it could be best case scenario, a couple of weeks. Okay, get back, be good. He just had a, 25, something like that, inning scoreless streak. I'm not super worried there. It's more with Musgrove. He's the guy that Padres gave $100 million to. He's the guy that is, one of the aces of this team when he is pitching well. And it's not me being worried about him being able to pitch well, because I'm confident in Joe. It's because I think we saw signs when he was back on the mound of him pitching well. Once he got that time underneath him, those starts underneath that belt, I liked what I was seeing. It's is he going to be on the mound? Because for the Padres, it feels like Jesus Luzardo, right? He is the big fish probably before the deadline. There could be someone else that I'm not thinking about, but that's a name that I see keep getting brought up, right? Well, if the Padres had to give up what they gave up for Luis Ariz, what are they going to have to give up for Jesus Luzardo? And do they want to give that up? I would think the Marlins are going to ask for Lesko. They're going to ask for Snelling, Mazer. Not all of them. Well, they will ask for all of them, but they're not going to get all of them. Who would the Padres be willing to give up? Would they be willing to give up any of those guys? Probably Mazer, I would think. But would they? I mean, Lesko and Snelling, those two guys. I don't know if that's what AJ's thinking right now, but I thought those two guys were supposed to be two starting rotation, kind of like Mackenzie Gore before he got dealt, right? Maybe not frontline guys. Definitely one of them we want to be a frontline starter, but guys that are going to be young in the rotation. We obviously know the big contracts the Padres have, but those two guys, put them in the rotation, not making a whole lot of money, and that's really going to help this Padres team being able to spend on other areas of the roster, right? So I'm not so sure. I don't know if they would pull the trigger on that. It's June 2nd here, so there's going to be teams that might fall out of it that now won't be willing to give up a starter. So we'll see what happens. But with this Darvish and Musgrove IL announcements happening yesterday, it's like, yeah, Padres, it's like guaranteed they're going to get an arm, right? I thought Preller was going to go get another arm for the rotation just in case at some point before the deadline, even if guys were healthy, because you can never have enough arms. And we know Preller, it doesn't have to be an ace guy, but someone else, he has the capital to go get that still. So I thought that was definitely still going to happen. Now with this happening, those guys could be back before the deadline, okay, but are they going to stay healthy? And even if it looks good, you still can never have enough starting pitching because once the deadline happens, that's it. Remember was it 2021 where the deadline came, they didn't get, I think it was 2021, they didn't get pitching, and then Chris Paddock was throwing a bullpen, I think, and he gets hurt in that bullpen. I think he was ramping up or something. He gets hurt, and the Padres can't go get starting pitching, and then they end up having Vince Velasquez and Ross Detweiler and Jake Arrieta in the rotation at the end of the year. I'm not saying that exact situation would happen again, but you don't want something like that happening when you have postseason aspirations here. You have still a really talented roster. You added Dylan Cease. You added Luis Ariz. These are moves to go help you win right now. So you want to make enough moves where, okay, if an injury happens, it's okay. Where it's not going to be the end of the war. It's not going to be the end of our season, the end of our world, for that year. So that's really obviously what we're going to be looking out for next is who could replace Darvish and Musgrove in the immediate, right? And Adam Mazer, I think, is that guy. That's someone that stands out, Randy Vasquez. But deadline, what possible additions there? Don't give me Trevor Bauer. It's not happening. I'm not even going to have that conversation because I think it's just a waste of time. But what to know about Adam Mazer, by the way, because it seems like Kevin Acee hinted at it this weekend that Adam Mazer could be making that start Tuesday in place of Darvish, which that's going to be fun. If I could see Adam Mazer's debut in Anaheim, that'll be cool because I am heading up there. So hopefully. What to know? He's from Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota. He's in AAA El Paso right now. 23 years old. Second round pick in 2022. He went to Iowa. Has a 3.86 ERA so far this season in the minors. 10 starts, 51 and a third innings pitched, 50 punch outs. His whip is at 103. And he has not been with El Paso, I don't believe, the entire season. Yeah, he was with San Antonio for his first 5 starts, and he had a 2.39 ERA through those first 5 starts. And then he went to, or was it 5 or 6 starts? 1, 2, 3, 6 starts, excuse me. 4, 5, 6, 1.95 ERA, through those 6 starts with San Antonio. And that's really the level where that's probably the highest ceiling talent. I don't think that's really AAA, especially with the Texas League. He went to El Paso, and he's gone 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 innings, 5 earned runs, 6 innings, 4 earned runs, 2 innings, 4 earned runs. That was his last outing, May 30th. Only 2 innings of work in that last outing. And I'm not going to act like I've been watching all of those outings, but it's someone that is one of the top prospects in the Padres farm system. He has pitched well, obviously, at times this season for the Padres. Again, just 23 years old. And it seemed like going into this year that he was going to make his debut before Snelling. It seemed like he was a little bit ahead of Robbie Snelling. And so we'll see if Tuesday he gets the call. But this is someone I don't think, I could definitely be wrong, and I should probably check with Jim Callis or someone like that. But it feels like this isn't someone that's projected to be a front line starter, but someone that could be maybe a Michael King or could be, a solid 4-5 starter. But you really never know until you go up to the big leagues. Now, facing the Angels, it's not like that's the Dodgers, so that could be a good landing spot for his big league debut in Anaheim. There's probably going to be a good amount of Padres fans there. So I would not be surprised to see Adam Mazur be the one to get that call up. But it's going to be exciting. If he does get that call up, that will be exciting to see him pitch in a full game, see how he does. And will he have a ton of pressure if he does make that debut on Tuesday? Because you're facing the Angels. They could save Johnny Brito or Adrian Morejon and have Mazur go 4 innings, let's say. 3-4 innings. Have Brito, Morejon work another few, and then you have the bullpen after that. So it's not like they would be expecting him to go 6 innings, 6 shutout innings or something in his big league debut. So again, I think that could be a pretty good landing spot to make that debut Tuesday against the Los Angeles Angels. The Angels, by the way, entering this series against the Padres, obviously no Mike Trout. They're 21-38. So this qualifies as a series that the Padres should win. And it would be nice to get a sweep. It would be nice, especially coming off of this sweepable series against the Royals. And the Royals are one of the better teams in the American League, and the Padres should have swept them. So the Padres, they're playing pretty darn good baseball right now. It just sucks they couldn't get that sweep, obviously. All right, quick break, and then I will be getting to the chat. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right, another reminder about some of the great partners of the show. Breaking Tea, they got Padres, Aztecs, and Wave shirts and sweatshirts. Click the link in the description for them. Underdog Fantasy, as you see in the ticker if you're on YouTube, you can use code Talking Friars, claim that special pick, and a first-time 50% deposit match up to $250 there on Underdog Fantasy. And then same code Talking Friars, $20 off your first order with SeatGeek. Make sure to check them out. Before I get to the chat, by the way, just want to make sure I got to everything that I wanted to get to. Oh, the team dinner. The Padres, so they had a team dinner the day off before the Royals series. And there was something in there that Kevin Acee wrote, I think, in his Padres Daily. Joe Musgrove had a quote about the Padres feeling like they're more prepared this year. I don't know if he was saying more prepared than last year, but more prepared. And remember those team dinners last year? They were forced, where I think there was one in Miami and Nick Martinez was involved in that. They were forced. Guys were trying to get that chemistry locked down. There was the WBC, right? They just weren't together a ton. This year, With Mike Schilt, obviously we know about like the ball talk and the yellow padding and all that. They're talking about baseball. They were talking about baseball on Thursday. It seems like at um, that dinner, that off day dinner. So again, it seems it's different. Some might want to say, well, okay, they're around 500 still. But to me, I'm having more fun watching this Padres team this year than I was having last year, obviously. It feels like they really care about, you know, winning this year, and they should have had that care last year too. But it feels like they're there for each other. They they want to talk baseball, like baseball rats. And if Mike Schultz the manager of this team, I hope his team is baseball rats and baseball nuts, right? But I'm getting that feel with this team so far. From stuff I'm read, having Merrill on the team and Profar here the entire year, I think those are big factors as well. Yeah, Luis Ariz coming to the Padres, I think that's something as well. He was on the Marlins. Dylan Cease was on the White Sox. Having guys that want to, they come in and they're happy they're on this contending team, right? All right, getting to the chat. Thank you for the super chat here. Jason, thank you, C. Mertlick, for that. Jason says, thank you, Jason, as well. Luzardo, what would it take AJ to trade? Good series win. Great show, brother. Thank you, Jason. What would it take? Well, we're talking about the Marlins, so they're going to want an arm for the future. So I would think it's going to take Adam Mazur if they don't give up Lesko and Snelling. Marlins probably would want one of those guys. I wouldn't be surprised if they would ask for someone like Graham Pauley. Maybe they ask for Ryan Bergert as well. Jesus Luzardo, I'm just seeing his contract. How many more years of control? I think it's a couple. I mean, financially, the Padres can take on that salary. I mean, the base salary is $5 million, $5.5 million, and it would be prorated for the rest of the year. He has 2 more years of control after this. So remember what they gave up for Luis Ariz. I know he plays every day, but it's not like he has as much value as someone like Juan Soto, for example. And they had to give up Marcy, Martorella. Who else did they give up in that deal? Iriarte was Cease. Ariz. They gave up Dylan Head, right? Ariz trade. Woosup go. Okay, so minor league, and he got DFA'd already. Marcy, Martorella, Head, and Woosup go. And that's for 1 more year of Ariz after this year. And Luzardo, starting pitcher. So the Marlins, they're going to want pitching back. And Dylan Head was a top 10 guy. So if I want to match it there, I would say probably Bergert. Let me pull up the top prospects again. I would say Bergert. I would say Mazur. Maybe Lizarraga. Jackson Wolf. I mean, they would take a shot on one of those, like just a throw-in arm, maybe. And some might say, well, that feels like a lot, but Luzardo's like, he's the name. That's what it feels like. Shane Bieber, wasn't he going to be the name, but then he got hurt? I think I'd have a better answer for you in terms of like, is this super realistic? A little bit later down the line to see maybe what other teams might show interest in Luzardo. I mean, Luzardo, maybe the Marlins trade him early when he's healthy because it's not a guarantee he'll be healthy come July 30th or whenever the deadline is, late July. Those are just some names that I would throw out here early for that. Thanks, Jason, for that super chat. Appreciate that. All right, let's see here. Going up to the chat. Chat says games like today are exactly why outings like Colex on Friday are unacceptable. Exactly, yeah. it's a connection. There's a link, a chain link. I don't want to say snowball because sometimes it's not a snowball effect. But yeah, these games, these events, they're connected. And that's why it's a team, right? Like sometimes it's going to be fine because the Padres, they win by 5 runs, or they don't win yesterday's game and maybe they take the opportunity and they win today's game, let's say, and they win the series. They don't get the sweep, but they win the series. But like this wouldn't happen because Suarez would be available if he didn't pitch yesterday, right? But just because of the way the series worked out, where you have a blowout victory, go seal that victory. And Kolek made it too close. I don't blame Schilt for having Suarez go into that game. Should have happened. As I said yesterday, or no, not yesterday, earlier in this show, I don't blame Schilt for what happened yesterday with having him go as Suarez in that 4-run game. You don't know if you're going to be in this situation that the Padres were in today. You don't know that at the time yesterday. Go get that win. Go get that win, the series win. So, yeah, I agree. But with Kolek, remember, he's the Rule 5, so I think he has a little bit more wiggle room because the Padres have to give him back. They can't just put him in the minor leagues. They have to give him back if they decide to take him off the roster. Rocket Dog says, dang it, we have to face lefties back-to-back, Anderson and Sandoval. But let's remember the Marlins series, they faced lefties all of that series, and they won that series. So, you never know. By the way, Waldron against Anderson tomorrow. Tuesday, maybe Mazer against Sandoval. Monday is at 6:38. Tuesday's at 6:38. Wednesday is also at 6:38, by the way. It's not an afternoon game. Cease pitches Wednesday against Soriano. And then the Padres, they come back and they play the D-backs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then they play the A's at home. So they don't have a day off. Super recent, or, right coming down the road here. Just had a day off on Thursday. JD's third with the super chat says, if we miss the playoffs this season, how much will those team dinners matter? Will we remember the dinners or missing the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years? Of course, JD's third. We will remember missing the playoffs. I'm just saying that these dinners, it doesn't seem like they're forced. It's just something that was wrote about by Kevin. And so I brought it up. I thought it was interesting. Like, hey, the connection is there. It seems like they're together and they really want to talk about baseball. They want to be together. They're a team. Where last year, we could point to them not being the best team, clearly, because they definitely underachieved last year. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Matsui, he had some meatballs there. Brent says, I think it's time to talk about Campy. For his last 22, last 15 games hitting 100. His new stance ain't it. Yeah, that's something that I was thinking about. Good point. I was thinking about that during the series, because Tatis, he's more relaxed, and he was searching at the plate, and it seems like he's found it. With Campy, yeah, last year he was doing a little bit of the version, but it feels like it's more exaggerated, his stance this year. And it feels like it takes him a long time to get that bat through the zone. I don't want to go all hitting coach on you because I'm not a hitting coach, but just watching, it feels like it's a long swing. So maybe he can get together with Luis Ariz a little bit. And hey, one at bat, don't do the big leg kick. Or maybe not live in the game, but let's say batting practice one day. Don't do the leg kick, do a toe tap, and try to have a short swing. Don't try to hit the ball a mile. Just short swing, take it the other way. Try doing that and see maybe it's more comfortable. I'm sure he's working on it, obviously, but yeah. Right now, I mean, do you need to have Campy in the lineup over Kyle Higashioka? I mean, it's really who's the catcher? Well, It's not about offense, it's about who's on the mound. I feel like that's what it's about right now. Yeah, pop-ups are grounders right now, Chad. Yep. Yeah, Bobby Witt. My goodness, that guy. I wish he was a Padre. Not for like any particular position, although he'd be nice at short. I know we have Kim. But yeah, he's fun to watch. The Royals have got a good one there. That double play that he turned yesterday, that was insane. He got the flip from second, and he's coming across, runners sliding in, and did he jump over or jumped around him? Midair, gets the throw off in time. He's smooth out there. He's one of the best shortstops in baseball, probably an all-star this year. Him and Salvador Perez. I mean, Brent says Higgy and Campy making us wish for good old days of Nola and Alfaro. Hey, Alfaro came up clutch, so you got a point there, but I don't know if I want to go that much. I mean, it's not like Nola had a great arm, right? He couldn't throw anyone out. Although didn't he throw out Mookie in the playoffs in the NLDS? So there were some exceptions, but I'm not going to go that far where I want Austin Nola, but he was a good guy. But yeah, of course, we wish he would have played better. How is Gary Sanchez doing? That's a good comment there. Let's see. Gary, I haven't heard much about him. 7 homers, 758 OPS in 111 at bats. So is he playing every day? He's with Milwaukee. He's playing the majority of the time. And Milwaukee's playing good. So good for him. I mean, I wasn't like, oh, we got to keep Gary, because I was like, no, let's give Campy. He was coming off of a good year when he was healthy. Let's see what he can give you. And you have a vet in Higgy coming in. Let's ride with that. We can have Sullivan in the minors, whatever. I had confidence in Campy to build off of what happened, and there's a long way to go, but right now, yeah, it seems like he's a little lost. JD's third says we get so excited when Higgy hits a homer or Manny and Nando do the bare minimum for a game or two. Obviously, they have the ability to consistently perform. Why don't they? I don't know if Higgy does. Offensively, I don't know about that. And we should get excited when he hits a home run. That's not who he is. And Manny and Nando, I mean, I wouldn't describe today as Manny and Nando doing the bare minimum. They came up with big hits today. Tatis had a homer yesterday. And yeah, I'll talk like Mike Schilt. Not trying to alibi anything. No, they need to be better as a whole, of course. But Tatis recently, I'm liking what I'm seeing. And Manny, he's still having some good plays over there at third, and it seems like he might be getting going a little bit here. I'm more optimistic about Fernando right now than Manny, but I don't know. I don't know JD's third. I'm just not as negative as you are. Let's see. Well, I can assure you, Luis, I know I've seen this too. Musgrove at Saquon enjoying his time off, I bet, because he does those commercials. I assure you, he is not happy that he is missing time. I assure you, he is going to try to get back as soon as he can. Maybe that's not the best thing in the world, but that's who he is. He wants to win for this city. He cares. And so that's not someone I'm going to go make jokes about of, oh, I bet he's enjoying his time at Saquon. No, he's pissed that he's not playing. I assure you of that. Are you sure, Luis, that the "If You Want to Come and Get It" song is gone from the Pods broadcast? I don't know. That keeps coming up on mine, so maybe you like have an update or something. I don't know. I'm hearing that on that's the promo ad that they run. Yeah, holy cow. That I've heard that thing hundreds of times, it feels like. It gets stuck in my head. Phillies fan Nick says Padres will get a wild card spot. I think so too. Dave says Tommy Pham at it again today. Nice slide, 5 feet on the wrong side of the baseline. Yeah, anyone that saw this in Milwaukee, dude was running on the grass. I don't know why the White Sox third base coach is employed because he left Tommy out to dry. I mean, Tommy was way out. And yeah, Tommy was not happy that he was sent. He was pretty frustrated post game. And then he comes up. The Brewers pitcher is super pumped up. Tommy doesn't like it. And then he was like, wanting to fight, I guess. And then he said post game something like, "There's a reason why I do all the boxing in the off season because I'm not afraid to f somebody up." Um, yeah, that was hilarious. Seeing him walking back to his position after the inning was over, and he's like shadow boxing. He's a character, that's for sure. It's a trade deadline target. Who knows? We'll see. I think they like Azokar, and they're definitely more than fine with having Profar out there and Merrill and Tatis right now. So, and I think they like having Donovan Solano, and we'll see about Peralta. It may come down to Peralta or Pham if the Padres want to go that route, but we'll see. Peralta's a lefty. You got to remember that. Yeah, the White Sox color commentary, dude. Yeah. White Sox fans, I know social media is not always reality, but it seems like White Sox fans are not the biggest fans of him. And yeah, he was not in announcer mode when that happened. I don't know. Go listen back to that call for anyone that missed it. But yeah, that was weird. It's like he was trying to be Tommy's teammate or something. I don't know. Greasy says I have a hard time believing Suarez or Estrada or Morahone were truly unavailable for one inning. Matsui was the worst option. I don't know about the worst option. I mean, he's got to be better, but he's not like the last reliever in the bullpen. And I believe Suarez was not available. I believe Estrada was not available. Not saying they didn't want to go, but that the Padres said they're not pitching today. I believe that. They're not going to go 3 days in a row on June 2nd when they had those work. It's not like Wandy where you throw 3 pitches. I can question whether Wandy was unavailable, but I think Suarez and Estrada were not available. Morahone, hang on, let me check my bullpen chart. So he threw 22 pitches yesterday, multiple innings. Would they be saving him for Tuesday? Or maybe after Waldron goes? But yeah, I guess that's fair to question Morahone not being available. Yeah. I was thinking more Wandy, though. When that was happening with Yuki, I was like, oh, why is Wandy not available today? Continuing to go through the chat here. Chad says if this team wins more than 83 games, I'd be really, really stoked and surprised. I think they can. I think they can win like 85 games. And that's probably a wild card spot. wild card team. Nick says, let's be real, guys. When have the Padres ever been fully healthy or have had most of their guys healthy for a full season? Um, well, you never really know with Manny, but last year, no. 2022, you could point to, but I mean, not everyone. Tatis had the suspension. But other than Tatis, I mean, if I remember correctly, they were healthy when it mattered. So 2022, I mean, I'm not going to go back to 2017 or something when, like, who cares who was, who was on the roster then if they were healthy? They weren't good enough. But 2020, no. 2021, no. And it was a collapse. They just lost their pitching. But yeah, 2022 is the season I would count to. This Angels series, by the way, like, it's when you think about it, it's the series of the old school baseball rat manager. I know all baseball, it feels weird. It probably sounds weird, me saying that this is like the baseball rat series. But what I mean by that, because all managers should be baseball rats, they should love the game. What I mean by that is Mike Schilt, Ron Washington, guys that are so big on the fundamentals. Ron Washington out there with infielders every day, doing those infield drills on the infield or on the grass, foul territory grass, right? Um, Mike Schilt, we know how big he is on the fundamentals and appreciating the little things. And they're old school baseball type guys. So I, I'm I'm excited for this Padres Angels series. I wish Trout was. I mean, as a Padres fan, I don't because you don't want Trout playing. But as a baseball fan, it just sucks seeing Trout continue to be hurt because he was off to a really good start this year, and now he's out. Is there a timeline on him? No, he's out for the year, right? I think he's out for the year. Um. Oh yeah, he underwent surgery to repair torn meniscus. No timetable for his return. He has progressed to riding a bike using an elliptical. Received treatment twice a day. Next step will be walking and eventually jogging on a treadmill. And that was from May 25th, so pretty recently. Just sucks. He's one of the guys that you root for in the game. All right. Any more comments here? Yeah, kind of depressing chat. Chad says, shout out to Ben for always taking the time and effort to give us a place to express ourselves every game. His work effort toward the Padres and his channel is greatly appreciated. No, thank you guys. I just love talking about the Padres, and why wouldn't I? Why? Yeah, for me to sit here and not allow you guys to be a part of the conversation, that doesn't make sense, for at least in my eyes, because you guys are just as big as a part of this as I am. I wouldn't have this. I don't feel like I don't have a huge platform, but I wouldn't have as big of a following if it wasn't for you guys. And look, just think about it. I'm a Padres fan just like you guys are. I know I don't view myself above anyone. Like, I'm a Padres fan, and I like talking with other Padres fans. So yeah, no, thank you guys. All right. Yes, Chad. I did see Will. Will was on Hawes's podcast. It wasn't like a look back. It wasn't like my interview with Hawes. It wasn't a look back on Will's career or anything. It was just them talking about baseball, like the some current events that were happening in baseball. I think they hit on Angel Hernandez, stuff like that. That's all. I thought he was good. I love seeing it. Will's, I know he didn't perform great with that contract, but he's one of my favorites. Just someone that was there through the bad days, and then he got to experience 2022. Seemed like he really appreciated the Padres fans. Was signing autographs all the time. So I love that guy. All right, that's going to do it. Talking Friars episode 603. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Angels up next. Padres take 2 out of 3 against the Royals. That's 8 of their last 10. And they're in a playoff spot for whatever that's worth, which is nothing right now because it's June 2nd. But I'd rather be there than not be there right now. 32 and 30. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. And we'll see what happens coming up this week.